Hello, DPS and healers. Welcome to my gearing guide. I know this is pretty much at the 11th hour, at the 59th minute. However, I have seen a need, a want to gear better in 6.0. So with 7.0 coming up, this is going to be useless in about, a month's time. Maybe a little bit longer than that, but not by much. So, if you're watching this video after 7.0, skip this video, go to the next one. This video is not for you. This is only for those that are still trying to gear in 6.0 and want to have optimal stats. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about optimal stats. What you're going to want to search for as a healer and a DPS. Now, we are here on my Marauder. And so we're going to be talking DPS here first, and then we're going to talk about healers, and then we'll talk about making mistakes and how you can fix it, as well as there will be a very useful link in the description below that you can also go to follow along and take a look at yourself. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about my stats. So the first thing you need to understand about maximizing, minimizing your stats, min-max, in 6.0 is that when you go do content, let's say you're going to go do a veteran flashpoint, your mastery, endurance, and power are going to be leveled down to 70 and are going to be completely static. You cannot change these stats. So if I were to activate this attack adrenal, just go ahead and apply it real quick, you'll see that my power shot up a full 1,000 points. Now, you think, that's really great, I'm getting 1,000 power. However, because you're locked at whatever stat that the content that you're playing says you're at being level 70, applying that adrenal is not going to do anything for you. It's not going to allow you to do more power, more damage, I should say. It's not going to change that. In fact, these will all be yellow. These will be significantly smaller numbers. Okay? So what we want to use instead of an attack adrenal, and the reason I have one is because I do Duxon, where that is level 75 content. So that is why I have that. It's only for when I do Duxon. You're going to want to get yourself a critical adrenal, which will be about another minute and a half before we can, or minute 50 before we can use this again. So because of that, you can't manipulate these stats. So putting anything really heavy into these three stats is a waste of your time. What you want to focus on instead is going to be right down here for critical, alacrity, and accuracy. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is I've made this a 1.3 GCD. Okay, this is 1.3 global cooldown. My abilities will be a little bit faster than, let's say, if you went for a 1.4. And we're going to talk about a little more in depth about that, about alacrity. And the other thing is, sorry, wrong button. Button one. Is my guild uses the Zeal Guild bonus, which gives me an inherent 5% alacrity boost that cannot be used in PvP or Master Mode operations, but is usable in everything else. So we utilize that because we do hard modes, all that junk. You do have to readjust if you're going to go into PvP and Master Mode operations, because you are essentially kind of wasting some stats. So you're going to need to readjust things. But that basically allows me to have a higher alacrity bonus, and we'll show you here. My alacrity is 10.41%. I should be saying that's higher, but whatever. But basically 1900 here for us. As a 1.3 Marauder's Annihilation Sentinel, pretty good. Critical This should be higher, but I don't have any of the gold augments, so I am a little low on it, but that's okay. And then this set is actually going to be pretty stagnant here, no matter what, no matter whether you go with a 1.4 or a 1.3. And if you're a healer, you don't need to use accuracy at all. Don't get anything that is accuracy. So how do we obtain these numbers? I don't necessarily know where we got the numbers, but someone kindly did all the math for us so we could know it, and we are all greatly appreciative of it. But what pieces do we use to get these numbers that are going to improve our stats, improve our parses, so that way you can, get into some harder content? Well, the first thing you're going to want to go and hunt down, because this is going to make it so that way you only need 3 pieces and a stem. Let me move that. The Advanced Chiroprax Proficient Stem. You can use a reusable one if you want. If you want to get 700 Biochem, which if you're going to get into harder content, I highly recommend get max Biochem. Use the reusables. Save you a lot of credits in the long run. A lot of map farming. But if you don't want to do that, you're going to want to get a nice stack of the purple variants of the reusable here. They're going to have the same stats, just this one I can use indefinitely, and I don't have to get more, so I definitely do that. Saves me a lot of credits. But that gives us accuracy and crit, so this is actually being factored into our stats here. Not as important here in critical, but much more important here, because now I only need 3 pieces of gear to get at my accuracy at 1590, which you can see is exactly 110%. We are doing a little bit of a difference here, so it's going to be 1591. That is perfectly fine. You always want to either directly meet the exact stat that you're looking for, or you can be a little bit higher. That's what's happening here with our alacrity. We can actually lower that a little bit, and we can get a little bit more power. But like I said, power is a misnomer for the content that we're doing with this gear. So what you're going to want to look for is a Mentalian 7 device MK19 earpiece, or the Mentalian 7 package MK19 implant. You can do the earpiece and implant combination, or you can do 2 of the Mentalian 7 package MK19 implants. So long as you have the 2 of these, whether it be the earpiece or the implant, and with another implant, that works perfectly fine. And why do we want this? Well, if you look at my accuracy, it says 441 and 441. That is the highest stat you can possibly get for accuracy. That I don't necessarily want to do the math, but it's about 900 accuracy. That is almost that's 2/3 of our accuracy just from those 2 alone. You can also see I don't need any accuracy augments. If we go through all of my gear here, I just don't have any accuracy augments, so I can have more critical and alacrity augments. And as you can see, I have critical augments on them. If we open this up, boom, perfect. So you want to get these Mentalian. Now, there are 2 variants of the Mentalian at 306. There's the 441s, which are the ones you want, and the 433s. Now, you can make the 441s work, or you can go with the 443s, but that's going to require a little bit more accuracy out of you than just the 441s and 1 enhancement, which we have down here in boots. That's it. And this one brings us the closest to 1591, or to 1590, the Proficient Superior Enhancement 80R4. So that piece, the 2 Mentalian implants, or the 1 earpiece and 1 implant, plus the stem. If you need to take a look at it, there you go. Plus that stem, will bring you straight to 1591. You can use a higher variant of the Proficient Superior Enhancement. You can use R1, R2, or R3. But it gives you a little bit more power than the R4 does. You'll get a little bit more accuracy. It kind of just, like I said, it doesn't matter. I would only use the R3, R2, or R1 variant of the Proficient Superior if you just want to see a little bit more. I would only use the Proficient Superior Enhancement ADR4 if you want to see just a little bit more power. Sometimes it is nice to be in that 9k range, even when you're not power stacking. It just doesn't matter that much. You don't need it. You're not going to get more endurance. They're all 313 endurance. So you're basically trading just a little bit of power for a little bit more accuracy, or you're trading out some accuracy for power. Either way, you don't need it. So R4 or higher. And by higher, I mean 3, 2, and 1. That's what you're there. And that's it. That's all the accuracy we need. We don't need any other accuracy. So if you're a DPS, hunt these pieces down for the next month and a half, and you'll see significant jumps. Because you're going to be able to stack, if we come into my gear here, not that one, let's see, here we go. You're going to be able to stack a lot more crit into your gear, which is very helpful. And all the critical enhancements that we have in our gear are the Efficient Superior Enhancement ADR1. That is what we're going to be looking for. We're sacrificing a lot of power for a lot more crits. If we had the gold critical augments, we'd be able to raise it a lot higher. Right there, we could just boom, just skyrocket with it. But it's perfectly fine that we just have the purple augments. Okay, and then just to show you here, this is just a mod, armoring, and then the augment. So with mods, R3 to R1, you are going to be trading power for endurance. If you want to kind of use some of the gear pieces for some harder content, such as going into Duxon, going into the 75 flashpoints, doing some PvP, go aim for the R1s. R2s work just as fine, but try and aim for the R1s. You'll have more power available to you, and then it just becomes a matter of just swapping out this stuff for the 75 content implants in your pieces, 75 relics, and making your changes as necessary. Okay, and then now we'll move on to Alacrity. Let's see. Just double check. Here we go. So what we're using as for our enhancements is going to be the 7th Superior Enhancement ADR1. See, that is what we're using, except for right here, I have an R2. It doesn't really matter. I do believe 1.3 GCD is at 1895, so I am more than meeting my alacrity that I need to make, which is perfectly fine. I think I know why that I have an effect on that dummy, so it's my alacrity is turned down for the moment. That's why my alacrity is looking low. I was going to do a little parse after this. So that is the enhancement that we're looking for. Is the 7th Superior Enhancement, or ADR1, but you can mix it up, I believe, between like some R2s and R1s. Again, all you're doing is trading alacrity for power or power for alacrity with those enhancements. But all you need are 3 alacrity enhancements. There we go. And then let's just double check. I do believe I only need 1 do Alacrity Augment. I'm just double checking. Which it'll be on here. It does look that way. So you can see I have all of the critical augments. Very nice. Let's go ahead and talk about that implant. This is the Mentalian Efficient Package MK19, which if we pop that augment off, that's just going to go to inventory, and we take a look at the actual stat. Lo and behold, 441. So that means just like the accuracy implant, you're looking, that is a Mentalian, you want to get that 441. There's also another 433 Alacrity Enhancement, or sorry, Alacrity Mentalian stat. That is what you can also build around that. But if you want perfect stats, you're going to aim for the 441. Okay? So that is what we are looking for. Let me just reapply that. Boom. And boom. Close that. So that is pretty much 1.3. And then I'm going to actually transition us here to a web page, and we're going to talk about 1.4, which is what I recommend most of you to aim for. Just giving you an idea of what you're going to be looking for with your gear. That's pretty much all the pieces you're going to be looking for. And then real briefly, let's talk about relics, because some of you are using the wrong relics. Yes, you are. And I have at least one of the relics. Yes, right here. So why am I not using... And you can see it perfectly here. I don't even have to open it, which is nice. So why am I not using Serendipitous Assault and Focus Redoubt? I believe. That's the other one. Why am I not using them? Well, Serendipitous and Focus give me Mastery and Power, which are stats that I can't manipulate when I'm doing level 70 content, which would be most operations, most flashpoints, out in the world, pretty much most things in the game. I cannot manipulate those stats when I'm on level 75 and I'm being leveled down to level 70. So what can I manipulate? I can manipulate my crit, and I can manipulate my my Alacrity. So what you're going to use instead is going to be the Devastating Vengeance and the Primeval Fate Sealer. That is going to give you boosts in your critical, as well as clickable boosts in your Alacrity. And that's simply because these are stats we can manipulate. That's why we are using these. Once we go into 7.0, we're going to swap back to Serendipitous Assault and Focus Redoubt. And because most things are going to become level 80, and we're no longer going to be leveled, which is wonderful. You're not going to need 2 sets of gear, because it's just nice. It's just nice. So go ahead and close that. You want the Primeval Fate Sealer and the Devastating Vengeance, which if you grab that, you can place it on your bar and you can activate it. And now you can see my Alacrity is ludicrous at 4,214 for the next 30 seconds. So that you need to correct. Make sure you get Devastating Vengeance and Primeval Fate Sealer. This is whether you are a DPS or healer, it doesn't matter. And then just as a real quick side note, I do apologize to tanks. If I knew the correct stats and pieces tanks needed to look for, I would also be helping you guys out in this video as well. Fortunately, I don't. So I do apologize about that. But let's go ahead. We're going to transition over to the webpage real fast and talk about that. And talk about 1.4 and a few other things that we need to talk about. Well, I will see you in just a moment. Okay, guys. Got through the pieces that we're going to hunt for. and talking about why we're hunting for them, we could have actually started on this page. But I wanted to show it to you in-game, so that way you had a little bit better of understanding, a visualization of what you're looking for, so that way you don't just willy-nilly destroy everything to get those sweet, sweet tech frags. So, let us talk about alacrity here. Alacrity is pretty much how fast your cooldown is going to go, so it can lower how long you have to wait for an ability to be active. That is going to allow you to increase how fast you can go through a rotation, how fast your best ability is going to be available to you. Now, there are limitations to that. There are. But essentially, alacrity determines all of that. It also gives a speed boost to dots, so you can run through your dots a lot faster as well, which is why as a Watchman Sentinel and an Annihilation Marauder main, I want to be utilizing that 1.3 GCD because I'm going to be going through all of my dots a lot faster. So 1.4 is kind of like the slowest you want to be, which to reach that you only need a 7.14%, so 7.14. To be a 1.3, you need to be at 15.38. And if you just want to do absolutely nothing but be the fastest gun in the West, 1.2, which is a whopping 25%. Okay? So, and here are the thresholds that most players are going to be at. 1.4 is 1213 stat. So think back to the 1900 I was talking about in my character sheet. That was what that would be there. And then you have the 1.3, which is going to be a 3207, and a 1.2, which is going to be 7993. Now, there are just about three exceptions to the rule here. First are going to be Carnage Marauders and Combat Sentinels, and Arsenal Mercenaries and their Republic counterpart. I can't think of the exact class, but the opposite of Arsenal, or the mirror to Arsenal. You guys, you're looking for if you're looking for 1.4, 663. If you're looking for a 1.3, 2374. And if you want to, again, do absolutely nothing but be the fastest gun in the West, a 1.2 is a 5,896. And then Lightning Sorks, you also get a sweet alacrity buff that's just built into you. A 1.4 is going to be 331, a 1.3 is 1895, and a 1.2 is 4,980. So, this right here is for Duxon and PvP. Alright, right here, all this information, Duxon and PvP. Duxon is the operation, the Progress of Nature mission. If you're going to go do that, this is all the gear that you're going to want, and we'll go over it real quick. So you're going to want that proficient sim I was talking about. You're going to want 5 accuracy augments, initiative R18 and initiative R19 enhancements. It would be nice if they had said that, but this is for DPS accuracy, so you're going to need all of that to go do Duxon. And then alacrity, if you want a 1.4, you're going to need 4 augments, an R19 enhancement, and an R20 enhancement. That's going to be the nimble variant. And then you can pretty much put in your crit however you want. You're only going to get 5 augments out of it. And then, so this is the Adept R18 enhancement. If you go with the R18, you'll go with 3206. That is going to boost your critical. And then if you go with the Adept R20s, you're going to go. You're gonna be power stacking. So if you want power 3191, and then if you go with just the Adept 80's enhancement, the Adept 80, that's going to be your maximum critical. That is going to be no R, no RA, no RB. Just the straight Adept 80 enhancement. Boom. And then if you do go with that, you are losing about 132 power. I don't recommend it. I kind of recommend going for the R18, the R19, or the R20s. You want to, when you're doing Duxon, you want to reach a 75, or sorry, you want to reach a 10k power. Alright, if you're over 10k in power, you're good. That is also going to include your mod, which is going to be 80R1. Okay? Nothing else. 80R1. And then Alacrity threshold for a Carnage or Arsenal 1.4 is going to be 2 Alacrity augments and 1 7R3. Alright? That is all you need for Alacrity. Everything else, crit stack. And, of course, put in your accuracy. And then this pretty much mirrors that. You're going to have way more crit power options here. And then, once again, if you... and then let's go ahead and talk about 1.3. 1.3, I don't fully recommend when you're doing... Duxon and PvP. This is going to be the Nimble Enhancement. So 118, 120, and 2 R14s. 7 Augments, 2 Shot Tech implants, or you can do a combination of an earpiece and an implant. And then again, it is going to let you know what your min-max as far as crit is, and you're only going to have room for 2 augments. And then you can go ahead, take a look. We'll move up or around. As you can see, there is no 1.4 for lightning. They're not really showing it off. Pretty much putting in any enhancement for lightning, you're there. You're golden. So for lightning, they're only showing you 1.3. That is all you need. Again, just to keep you guys thoughtful, Nimble R18 enhancement and Nimble R19. Two of that each. So 4 of your enhancement slots are going to be eaten up by that. And then healers, here you go. You guys are a lot easier to take care of because you don't have that pesky accuracy stat. So for a 1.4, you just need 1 R19 and R20 and 4 augments, and then those are your stats that you're looking for with crit because you can stack a lot more crit in because you don't need accuracy. Here is your 1.3. You can see that you need a lot of Alacrity augments, 3 R18s, 1 R12, and you can see the complete difference in crit here. Operatives, here are your healing stats. You're looking for that 11.69%. Again, these guys are enhancements. Same here, these are enhanced. This Adept is applied to both the R20s and the R18s. And then Mercenaries, here you go. Same thing. Kind of. An R10 and R18, you need 2 augments. So a little bit different, you can see the differences. And again, this is just 75 points. Now we're going to get to what we really want to talk about, which is the level 70 Mantelian 441s. Accuracy, as you can see, is exactly the same as I have it on my Marauder that I showed you. So we don't really need to talk about that. Here, they talked about the R1 instead of the R4. That will be the stat you have, is 1597. Okay. And then you can also go this road as well. You can use up 2 enhancements. I don't fully recommend it, and 4 augments, and replace the Mantelian earpieces with critical pieces. So you can make that decision however you want. Here's your 1.4. You're going to be looking for that 1213 to 1216 alacrity. So you're going to be, you want that 1/7R1, 3 augments, and 1 Mentalian earpiece. And then crit, you're going to fit in crit augments and as wherever you can. That isn't an alacrity augment. And efficient R1s, that should get you a 3634. And then where you are going to be doing, if you want a 1.3, you need 2 Mentalian alacrity, 441s, earpiece or implant, or 2 implants. 9 augments, 3 7th R1s, and then you fill in with whatever crit you can, and we're going to be looking for that efficient R1 enhancement. And then let me just scoot this on over for you guys. So now we're going to be talking a little bit more about lightning polarity, innovative ordnance, virulence, lightning. Again, go ahead, pause it, and you guys can literally see exactly what you need. So, and you can see what stats you have, and I will make that determination as to what you want. And then healers, we're going to do the same for you. You guys don't need an accuracy at all, so you just fill in your alacrity, and then you just pump up the crit. That's all you got to worry about is crit and alacrity. And again, that is an enhancement. Here you guys go. You guys can build upon that if you want to reach these numbers. This is how you're going to do it. And then lastly, we're going to go ahead and drop down. Here's the 433. So if you can't get 441s, but you want to get but you're getting the 433s, here are your stats. Go ahead, pause it, and you'll be able to check it out. Just make sure you read what you need. Carnage Arsenal, Innovative Ordnance, that's Merc. Carnage Arsenal, and here's Virulence, here's Lightning, and this is if you get the 433 Mentalians instead of the 441s. And lastly, Healers, same deal. Just go ahead, pause it, boom, and boom. There you go. That is everything you need. Just remember, that's an enhancement. That's near an implant. Enhancement. There you go. Now you may be curious about this page. As you can see, it says best in slot PvE 306. This is 6.3 to current date, all the way to 7.0. Once 7.0 is launched, this is a very useful thing. We can go in here. So this tab was if you had the RNG to acquire the Mentalian 441 ear implants. This, and this. Actually, cool. We can. You even have a tank page on here. I completely ignored it. Okay. So tanks, there is something valuable for you here. Again, I will have this linked down in the description below. You can read all this stuff for yourself. It definitely looks like you're gonna have some reading to do, some understanding, and all of that. But we're gonna, but just to clarify, all these tabs after old augments is assuming you have 300 augments. That is the gold augments, the insanely expensive augments. That is what all of this is implying, okay? Now, so most of you, this is the only page, or the only tab that you need. You do not need to jump into any of the other tabs unless you have the 300 augments. You're going to want to check out this because you're going to have different stats different goals, all of that. Okay? So only check out this stuff if you have the 300 augments. However, if your guild is using the guild buff, the Zeal guild buff that I briefly showed you guys, this page is actually pretty useful. And there's a reason for it. I use this. For real, I use this for my 1.3 Annihilation Marauder. Even though I don't have the gold augments, which primarily are going to be all crit except for the one Alacrity augment, I am perfectly capable of using this to build up my Alacrity. Okay? Now, for Carnage Marauders and Lightning Sorks, 1.4 is automatic. You do not need to run any Alacrity if your guild is using the 5% guild buff. Okay? You only need to come down here, look at the Carnage Arsenal 1.3. This is what you need. Now, you're not necessarily going to reach this, because those are assuming you have gold augments. But you can still work your way to that. You need to reach 1260. That is the minimum to hit 1.3 with Carnage and Arsenal. Okay? That is for 433s. And then Lightning, 883. You guys can figure that out. Do some math. I also have another link that will take you to a wonderful spreadsheet that lists all the stats of all the mods, the enhancements, and the armorings for tanks, healers, and DPS. Alright? So if your guild is using this page is actually still valuable, because you can hit 1895. You can hit 1900. That is a 1.3 baseline for most players, other than Carnage and Arsenal, Lightning, and their Republic counterparts. Okay? And then lastly, we're going to go ahead and jump back into the game. I'm going to show you what being an idiot looks like, and just completely forgetting that you have Alacrity buffs. So, let's go ahead and jump on up. And we're back with my Sage, who is a telekinetic, which is the counterpart to Lightning. Does anyone want to take a stab in the dark as to what is wrong with my character sheet? Because if you're going to say Alacrity, you are correct. Because if we remember, 893 is all the Alacrity I need. I'm 1,005 points over that. 1,005 points over. That's 1,005 points that I could have in critical. Now you may be wondering, well, Ronan, why do you have such high Alacrity? It's because I play as a Sentinel main. And I forgot that I get boosts to my Alacrity as a Lightning Sork. I don't need all this crit. Or I don't need all this Alacrity. I don't need it. So I actually have to fix this. It's not a big mistake. I don't use this tune, or I don't use Sages and Sorks that often. But I did screw up there. I did screw up. So that's what being stupid is, and forgetting that you need to check and make sure that you are aiming for the right stats. So overall, this is correct. There's a ton of R3 mods in here, which is why my power is below 9k. That's perfectly fine. See, I'm using Devastating Vengeance and Primeval Face Healer. This is all the stuff that I need. I just have way too much electric, so I have to take all of that out. Anyway, guys, this has been a very long video. There was a lot to talk about, a lot to explain. And I may do a video for Duxing gear. I can pretty easily do it. It's a lot simpler than talking about capped gear. That is what we call this gear right here because of the stats. I'm just not sure if I have all the right pieces. I have to double check. But I can definitely talk about it if you guys want. Just leave a comment down below to let me know. And if you guys want to catch any of my live streams, that will also be linked down below. But Ronin, that is all you need to search for. Sunday, Monday, we have guaranteed hard mode prog. We are currently in 2 prog teams doing Gods hard mode. So if you want to see us do that, we are live every Sunday and Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard, as well as 8:30 Pacific Standard. So come on by. We'd love to see you, chat with you, talk about gear, talk about Star Wars, talk about whatever, and just have a good time. So guys, greatly appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, evening, night, morning, whatever time it is. And we'll see you next time.